What's up, friends? In this video we're going to make a small program that will organize your photos based on the date the photo was created on your system. So there's two Python built-in modules that we're going to import. The first one is the OS module, which is a way for us to interact with the underlying operating system that Python is running. In other words, this module has built-in functions in which we can use to talk to our operating system. The second module that we're going to import is the date time module, which will allow us to manipulate dates and times. So I already created a folder that has some random photos in it on my desktop for this video, and if I just do ls, I can see these four files or four photos. And if I do stat and then format %SB, and I'm just gonna select one of the photos, a.png, this is gonna return me the creation date and time. So if you don't know what the hell is going on, we could do man, which will just pull up the manual of the stat utility, which says that it displays information about the file. And if you just go through this, you can find out how I got the command to get this value here. And there's another thing I want to show you guys is the actual folder itself. So in here we have the four random photos, a koala kicking kangaroos, and a landscape photo. And if I just right click on this and get info, I can see the created time was January 13, 2020, and this verifies this value here. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a function called creation date, and this thing is going to take in a file path, and the file path is just going to be this right here. So we can see that I've listed each of the file with their full path. So this is what the file path is going to be. And we're just going to create a variable called birth time, and I'm going to use the OS module .stat, which will return the status of the file and what it's going to take. It's going to take in the file path, and then I'm just going to do .stat birth time. So essentially what this is going to return is that it's going to return us the birth time, but because computers are very intelligent, it's not going to give us a human readable date and time. Instead, the birth time that we've defined here using the os.stat function, it's going to return an epoch timestamp. So it's like a really long string of value, which it's not very human friendly. So instead, we're going to use the datetime module to return us the actual day that is a bit more human friendly. So you just do datetime.date and then from timestamp, and then we're going to put in the birth time. So the birth time, that's what we define on line 5, right? And then now we're just going to return the date. Now we got a function that will return us a human readable date. The next thing we want to do is rename each of the file according to their creation date. So I have a folder called photos on my desktop, and to get the complete path of the directory, I'm going to type in pwd, and I'm going to copy this path, and I'm going to create a variable called folder path and then set it to a string. Now, in order to rename each of the files inside of that folder, we're going to use our handy dandy for loop. So I'm going to type in for file in os.listdir or dir, and it's going to take in a path. So the path that's going to take in is going to be the variable that we defined on line 4, which is folder path. And I'm just going to print this out to show you guys what I mean. If I run, yes, so we do see this .ds_store file, which is a hidden file, and it's irrelevant to what we're doing, so we're just going to ignore it for now. But we do see that it has successfully printed out each of the files, and that's exactly what we want. So the next thing we need to get the file path so we can use our function that we created earlier on line 6. So you know what, I'm just gonna call it the same variable here, file path, to avoid any confusion. And we're gonna use os.path.join, which will take in two path names, and it's going to join them together. So the first one, it's going to take in folder path, which is this variable on line 4, and the second one is going to take in file, which is the one that we're for looping on line 11. And I will print this out and show you guys what I mean. Yes, so this is exactly what we want. So now we have the complete path where we can use the function that we created earlier. So now we can just define a variable called date, and then we're just going to call that function. And we're going to input file path here. So now we can print, let's print it out so we can see what's going on. I'll just type in date so it's a bit more clear. So if I run this, so great, we have the complete path, and then we have the creation date to each of the file. Excellent, excellent. Now we have, given that we have the creation date, we basically want this value to replace whatever is here, which is the original name or some random name if you download the photo from a browser. So we need to get the extension so we can join these two values together, the creation date plus the original extension. So to do that, we're going to type in name extension equals os.path.split text. Oops. And split text is going to split the path name into a pair. So this is the pair right here. So it's going to split it into root and extension. I could just call this root to make it easier. So split text, it's going to take in the file path. So the actual path that's going to take, it's the file, which is on line 11. And I'll just print this out again so we can see what's going on. I'll type in here. Extension. There you go. And then run it. So we can see that it split it up the file name, which we can see the file name, and then we can see the extension. But in our case, we only want the extension. So to do that, we could just remove the root, and then we'll just use index 1 here. So if we type in index 0, it's going to return the root, but we're just going to do 1 so we can just get the extension. So now things are going to get a bit interesting where we need to create the new name. So I'm just going to create a new variable called new name, and then we're going to use string format with the help of placeholders. So like this. So I'm going to type in, there's going to be two placeholders, right? So it's going to be, the file is going to be date, and then the extension. So extension, oops, curly bracket, and then dot format, and then date, and then extent, and then I'm going to call it extension. Right, so let's just print this out to see what's happening. Right, great, we've encountered an error, and the error is complaining because it's saying, hey, there's a key error, it doesn't recognize this placeholder here. So what we need to do is actually make it ext, which matches this red highlighted pot here. Great, so now it has spit out the new name for us. Now we just need to join this new file name to the folder path, because I want to put each of this file back to the folder, okay, not some other random places on my system. So to do that, we're going to use os.path.join again. So I'm just going to call it new image path os.path.join, and again we're just going to type in folder path. That's the first path that's going to take, and then it's going to join with the new name. Okay, so let's just print this out and see what it will give us. Excellent, this is exactly what we want. Okay, last but not least, now that we have each of the modify file path with the creation date as the name, we want to rename each of the file within the same directory, because I don't want these modify photos to be elsewhere. So in order to do this, we're going to use the os.rename. So on line 17, I'm going to type in os.rename, and we can see that it takes a source and a destination, or old and new. So the source will be the actual name of the file directory that we want to be renamed. So in our case, it's going to be file path from line 12. And the destination will be the new image path from line 16. And just before I run the script, I'm just going to ls to show you guys what the names are. And now I'm gonna hit run, and something has happened. I'm gonna go back to the terminal here, and then I'm gonna ls, and yes, it has successfully renamed each of the file according to their birth time. So that's all for this program, but I just want to point out that we did not catch any errors or exceptions within this program, which we can. For example, we can check if there are any files inside of the folder beforehand, like around line 11. But I'm not going to do that here, and if you're interested, you may try to explore that part yourself. So this is actually the first part of this program. The next part of the series, we're going to add a little brain to this photo organizer to make it smarter by using AI, i.e. image recognition. So please stay tuned and subscribe to my channel. Thank you, friends, for tuning in, and see you all next time.